Who bet what game I was going to review with my last one? Crawl Out Through the Fallout by Sheldon Allman? Come on, it's one of the few songs allowed on Canadian radio because of the legend was Canadian. I'm willing to bet a huge portion of you heard this song from Fallout. Literally any of the Bethesda titles, not the original two, given music was only in the opening scenes. So that's the game we're going to be talking about today. The Fallout roleplay game by Modiphius Entertainment. Now, Modiphius is known for their Star Trek, Conan, and a ton of other games. Most famously, their 2D20 system, though also making standard board games and war games. Now, Chapter 3 of their core book is a 12-subchapter book on how to make a character. That's normally where I focus on in order to learn a game. It usually helps, but this time I actually had to look up a short video in order to understand the system. So, the 2D20 system asks you to roll said dice and take the lowest one. Your goal is to get below a number associated with your special attributes and your standard skill added together. But let's go into character creation. First, you need to pick your origin. What's an origin? Well, it's essentially your race. In Fallout games, you usually play as a Vault Dweller, except in the cases of Fallout 2, New Vegas, Brotherhood of Steel, and a few other spin-off games. But mainline games, you've got 2 in New Vegas that don't have you be from the vaults. This game gives you a lot of options. There's probably more in the follow-up books and the smaller magazine base off the magazines from the Fallout games, mostly 3 and 4. These origins include Brotherhood Initiate, which boosts energy weapons sciences or repair skills, but focuses you on following orders of superiors from the BOS. Ghoul, which allows you to heal in radiation and get boosts in survival skills, but encounter you age much slower and run a risk of going crazy. Super mutants, also known as FEV mutants, get boosts in strength and endurance from the special list, but are lower intelligence and charisma, and can cap any skill much lower than the other origins. They're also restricted on what armors they can wear. Mr. Handy is also an option. Yeah, you can play a robot. They are probably the most customizable, essentially boosting your perception check, giving you the ability to ignore difficult terrain and giving you multiple weapons that can't easily be removed. Unfortunately, you can't regain HP from normal healing methods and must be repaired. You can have a carry weight of 150 no matter what. No gains, no negatives. Survivors are like the courier from New Vegas, where you are just making your way through the wasteland. They're essentially your basic human who get extra traits at the start. Vault Dweller is interesting. As the GM's permission, you can combine 2 origins together, the Vault Dweller and the Ghoul. But the Vault Dwellers normally start with the Vault Kid trait, which gives them better endurance checks, but given their nature in the vault, you could have literally anything happen, depending on what the GM decides. This option will be the most fun for the GM. Now, those are all the origins. Let's go over the attributes. Special: strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. You've got 5 points to spend. Everything starts at 5, but you can add or subtract to move the balance around. Nothing can go above 10 unless your origin changes the max for any reason. We've got skills as well. You choose 3 to be your tag skills, which origins might add some to. With these skills, you can succeed a check and it count as a critical success, so long as it's a tagged one. The 3 you choose are level 2, while everything else is level 1. You've got 9 points to spend. You can spend them anywhere. No skill can be above rank 3 unless your level is 3 or higher, but the maximum of any skill is 6 unless you're a super mutant, then it's 4. Now we go into your first level perk. Perks are your feats, basically, for those who haven't played the game. These perks can let you perform certain actions and get some abilities, or even re-roll some actions or gain more uses of action points. We'll go into action points in a minute. Now, each perk has a requirement, whether it's an attribute requirement, a level requirement, or other perk requirements. You must meet all the requirements in order to take said perk. There are also rank markings, but I can't figure out what those are for, so I won't go into them further. Apparently it might have something to do with the GURPS system, but I've not looked into that yet. Then you do your maths on carry weight, damage resistance, defense, initiative, health points, and melee, in which each of the has their own calculations. Apparently, the Mr. Handy's carry weight is just if you have a 0 in strength, which you can't have, apparently. So that perk is legitimately just makes no sense. Then we go into equipment, which apparently is dependent on the origin you choose. These let you choose further into your origins, basically giving you sub-factions that brought you in, or ranks into factions if you're, like, with the Brotherhood of Steel or something. They get the Initiate or Scribe gearless, while Mr. Handy's got a lot of pseudo options. Nanny, Farmhand, Gutsy, Handy, like Standard Handy, or the Nurse options. FEVs can choose between the Brute or the Skirmisher, though I wish Nightkin was an option here. Vault Dwellers get the Resident or Security. Ghoul and Survivor options have the Mercenaries, Raiders, Settlers, Traders, and Wanderers options. There's then some personal trinkets or whatever for whatever reason, and some gear is based on your tagged skill. And there's more so in equipment, but it's more of bought gear rather than your starting gear, so we won't go into that. Nobody starts with more than 0 bottle caps. That's really all there is on character creation. It's the largest chapter in the book, but it's really not much when you get down to it. So I really see no problems with the game so far. Let's talk about combat and action points. Now, action points are a huge thing with the game. These are in the video games. Each player starts with a number of points that there are players. The players can earn more action points by scoring a critical success on skill checks. A player cannot have more than 6 points at any moment, but the GM can have as many as the players spend. These points are used to buy more dice to roll for combat or skill checks to a max of 5 total dice. It can also be used to get more information out of NPCs, to reduce the time it takes to do something, to take additional minor and major actions, or add damage on top of what you would normally do. Now, in combat, you get 1 minor action and 1 major action. You can spend action points to take an extra of each. Minor actions are aim, draw, interact, move, take chems. What are chems? If you don't know, I'm not telling you. Major actions are assist, attack, command an NPC, defend, first aid, pass, apparently, rally, ready, sprint, and do a skill test. Attacking is a simple roll. You roll your associated dice, try and get below your ranged, throw, unarmed skills, melee. Roll low enough, you hit. You then roll to see where you hit. Roll your dice for the damage. Then you find out the resistances of said damage type. You then mark your ammo usage, because apparently fights can last a long time here, like in Pathfinder 2nd edition. Damage dice are your d6s, which means with each side meaning different things. It's not 1 through 6 damage. It's 1 or 2 damage, 2 are 0 damages, then 2 are 1 damage with triggers. I'll be honest, the combat system doesn't really interest me. My interest comes in the skill systems, and with this, it doesn't really... The combat's long, tedious, and boring, really. Crits don't happen unless a specific part of the body has been dealt 5 damage or more. So, you don't necessarily need to be dealing big numbers. But with combat, it feels like every single fight with numbers of enemies equivalent to your group take way too long. Imagine everyone's luck just says each limb gets 1 damage every round. Then we've got the luck system along with the luck stat. Those are 2 different things. But let's fucking finish this review. The system looks fun. I've only found good things about it. But weirdly enough, I can't find anything about people's opinion on the combat. It's incredibly slow looking and looks tedious as hell. Honestly, my review's gotta be an 85%. The whole system has some hard goods and bads. The system makes talking and such very great, but the combat just doesn't seem... Basically, it's a bland food when it comes to the combat, while the talking and roleplay is a very interesting dessert. All in all, it ain't great, but it ain't bad, if you ask me. The follow-up books and magazines might add more to it and fix the slow combat. But that's really it. But now I have to fix the Kickstarter, so shove off.